So this is the final graphic with the pole and the string, and the flag's already created for you, so you can either copy it or put a symbol down and then go ahead and do it with this mesh tool over the top of it to arch the different wrinkles into the flag, and you can transform it. This is done with the blob brush tool to make some shading and placed over the top, and it's very simply placed on that section there, so it makes it a little bit easier to illustrate and just putting in the graphic for the vote and the poll. So that'll give you a quick, see you closer up. So this is the end of it. This is another version of it as well, so it has the pieces that you can see over the top, the parts of it. So if you went up with a graphic that has the background to it, and if you either use the flag that's on there or you can actually use it's been saved as a symbol, just right click on it and break this link to the symbol, and that gives you that opportunity under the object where you have the making it with a warp tool. Now you could do this and use the flag that's here, but I'm trying to get you to do a little bit more than that. That's somewhat doable, but you have a lot more control when you do the making with the mesh tool, and whether you hit preview, it'll show you that you can have a number of rows and columns, and click OK. And there's a direct selection tool, or you can use this magic wand tool that you kind of grab the alternating points, so just serpentine these selections here, and it'll let you manipulate that. So if you just click the up arrow, it kind of turns this direction, and then going back to the selection tool that you can turn this, you can rotate it. You have some functions to this, and you can just set it off to the side. You can use the direct selection, or if you want to grab more than one point, because you did make, if you did make the columns, you can just grab these and use the arrow key, or drag it, doesn't matter, but it lets you select these pieces to make that arch. And if you take the direct selection tool, you can actually click on each point and move it individually, and it has its handles that you can adjust to make everything fit to the direction you want it to be. So you do have a lot of control over that. The section that has the shading, if you want to put some nice shading into it, this is just using the blob brush tool and just kind of randomly putting down a segment, and you can, it'll connect itself, and this is just kind of putting in a selection that I can shift key, change the opacity or the color itself if you wish. So here's a value to it. Just make sure that you have the fill highlighted. So those three things, you can group them together. You need to make a clipping mask out of the flag, so a duplicate copy. I'll make another one, and just going into the object and expanding it, and that takes the fill and the stroke and expands it. And taking the page of the Pathfinder, you can make it all one piece, and just so you can tell what's happening, just make it a color, and then just bring that back, and it should be easy to just match right up on the top of that. So here's the selection. So while it's still there, just arrange it to the front, shift key these to the back, and Command 7, and those are your shadows there. Now you say, well, that doesn't look so good. Well, you can take that in the appearance panel, and there's the contents for that, so you have mixed objects. So you can easily just take the opacity, make this into multiply, which allows the color beneath to show up. You can change the opacity a little bit. You can come in effects and do a blur, and that'll give you a little bit of the Gaussian blur that you can soften that up. So it does give you that piece. Make sure they're, just group them together, and you can still manipulate the pieces. It may not, I don't have it exact, I would take a little more time into it, but that would give you the selection where you have the part that has the vote and everything placed on there. This is just a model made by a rectangular shape. So just making a shape like this, you can increase the stroke of this, and just take the scissors tool and just click right on the corners to cut this right out. Take the direct selection and just take that piece. That's the part you want to keep. This is the part you want to take out. See if this will come out here. And this will just have a non-fill. But before you do an extrusion out of it, you have to change it so that it is just an outline. So under Object Path, just go to Outline the Stroke, and that'll give you that selection. And then you can make it a little bit lighter. Set it over here, and then here when you do the Effect 3D, you'll just extrude it. And when you take the preview of it, you can kind of see the distance of it and how far you need to make it to appear to that piece. And then to set it on its side, you can just flip it to the top, and that'll give you the selection. So any mapping that you do, there's 10 surfaces of this, so you just have to locate which one's going to be on the front, and that's going to have your image to it that you can scale to fit. If it's too large, this one just made it a little bit too small. So it'll give you that selection on top. And you can shade this to give it a little bit more of a look to it and place it on there. So that's a quick, easy way to create that. And then when you have your final graphic, just make the screenshot of that. You should be good to go there.